Hello, thank you so much for following us on the Summer Bible channel. We appreciate your likes and we appreciate your comments. If it is your first time to watch us, please subscribe in order to receive a new video once it is released. Our topic of this week is waiting in the crucible. Waiting in the crucible. So scientists did an experiment with 4-year-old children and marshmallows. Each child was told by a scientist that they could have a marshmallow. However, if the child waited until the scientist returned from an errand, they would be given two. So some of the children stuffed the marshmallow into their mouths the moment the scientist left, but others waited. The difference were noted by scientists. So the scientists then kept track of those children into their teenager years. The ones who had waited turned out to be better, are just the better students and more confident than those who didn't. It seemed that the patience was indicative of something greater, something important in the human character. It's no wonder then that the Lord tells us to cultivate it. This week, friends, we will look at what could be behind some of the most trying of all crucibles, the crucibles of waiting. The crucibles of waiting. So in this lesson, we will respond following questions. Why do we sometimes have to wait so long for things? Another question will be, what lessons can we learn about patience while in the crucible? This is a big question we are going to discuss in this lesson. So friends, point number 1 is saying patience and hope. Now, may the God of patience and comfort grant you to be like-minded toward one another, according to Christ Jesus. Romans chapter 15, verse 5. We are not normally impatient about things that we really want or have been promised, but don't have yet. We are often satisfied only when we get what we are longing for. And because we really get what we want when we want it, it means that we are not often doomed to irritation and impatience. And when we are in this state, it is almost impossible to maintain peace and trust in God. So, patience is one of God's attributes. His patience is not indifference, impotence, or indecision. No. God is patient because of His love for us. He wants us to save as many people as possible. He has given us His word to help us being patient even in the hardest times. This patience is closely related to the hope. So we are being patient when we fully trust God and put our lives in His hands. We can trust that He will do the best for us at the perfect moment. So we are being patient when we fully trust God and put our lives in His hands. So point number 2 is saying waiting in the crucible. Waiting in the crucible. In Galatians chapter 4 verse 4 we read this, but when the fullness of the time had come, God sent forth His Son, born of a woman, born under the law. So does God have a timeline to take me out of the crucible? Sure. Meanwhile, how does the waiting help me? So that's the question we can ask ourselves. How does the waiting is helping us, or help you, or help me? There are many important spiritual reasons why we will experience waiting times. First, waiting can refocus our attention away from things and back to God Himself. So the second, it allows us to develop a clear picture of our own motives and desires. Patience builds perseverance, spiritual stamina, and it will open the door to developing many spiritual strengths. Patience allows God to put down other pieces in the puzzle of the bigger picture. And 6, we may never know the reason we have to wait. Hence, we learn to live by faith. We learn to live by faith. So let us see point number 3. David, an object lesson in waiting. A good lesson in waiting. David, the King David. We read in 1 Samuel chapter 26 verse 11, this one. The Lord forbid that I should stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed. David was anointed as the king of Israel when he was very young. However, the journey to the throne was long and very, very harsh. So David was called to play music to calm the king. And his role, he became a hero by killing Goliath, and he served in the army, and he became famous, David. So he befriended Jonathan, the heir apparent of the son of King Saul. The current king Saul wanted to kill him, and he made peace with Saul by sparing his life. And Saul persecuted him again. He spared Saul's life again, but lived as a fugitive. So this was really impatience of David. So we can see that David really, he was called to play music to calm the king. He became a hero. He served in the army and became famous. He was a friend of the son of his enemy. The current king wanted to kill him, but he made peace with Saul. He tried to be patient by sparing his life. He didn't kill him immediately when he had an occasion to kill him. And Saul persecuted him again, but he spared him. He spared his life again and lived as a fugitive. This man was really patient. So let us see point number 4. The point number 4 is about impatience. So we see a man who was also impatient, a powerful man, but impatient. So we see Elijah. In 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 3, we read this. Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there. He left his servant here. This was Elijah. The showdown on the top of Mount Carmel has ended, and Elijah has just seen God's powerful hand making fire and torrential rains come down from heaven. So he saw all this, the powerful God making rains come down from heaven in the burning fire. However, he was afraid of Queen Jezebel's. He ran away for more about 150 kilometers, so 93 miles to Judah's border. Then he hid in a cave even further. There he heard a loving voice reproaching him. "What are you doing here, Elijah? What are you doing here, Elijah?" And Elijah had waited for God to act instead of running away. He would have made a greater reformation than he did later. Elijah wasn't the only impatient one. You can remember how Sarah, the spouse, Abraham's wife, or Moses, didn't want to wait. And the consequences of that was really terrific. So that is really very important to notice that also we should not be impatient. So we should try to be patient and trust God. Let us see the last point, which is learning to wait patiently. Learning to wait patiently. So we read this: "Commit your way to the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass." Psalm chapter 37 verse 5. So in this psalm is we got a great lesson on how patient wait for God to act. So the first point is do not exasperate. That is the point number 1 of this patience that is written in Psalm chapter 37. So another one is to trust God. Another one is delight yourself in Him with patience. So, and commit your way to God. Commit, in spite of all difficulties, commit your way to God. And be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Cease from anger. So, all anger you can have, cease it. So, stop it, actually. Wait on God. Wait on God, and God is going to respond to your question, to your worries. So God's plan for us may require that we do a lot of waiting, and this really can feel like a crucible. Learning patience during this time can happen as we focus on the person of God and the trust that He is acting for us. There are many reasons for waiting, but all are concerned with the fulfillment of God's plan for us and His kingdom. We can lose much if we rush ahead of God, but we can gain much by maintaining an attitude of trust and delight in Him. Friends, believe patience is very important. So the summary, if you have forgotten everything, is to tell you, be patient, wait until Jesus responds. Don't rush, because Jesus is in control. So this is the end of this lesson. This is a summary of the lesson. Please, I invite you to go into deeper in the lesson, and you will read the quarter lesson and try to understand. Please share this short video to your friends and relatives. God bless you.